But the problem is, like many users, we just want to use a device. This phone is a quad. This is a quad core phone, meaning it has 4 processors, 4 brains, like 4 heads, right? And it also has, I think it's like 32 gigs of memory. That's a lot of storage. Not as much as this brain, but it's a lot of storage, right? You know, videos and all sorts of stuff can go on this. But the thing about it is, when we put applications that were not designed to run on this particular model phone with the specifications that it has, one of the things that happens is with continued usage, it begins to degrade the device. Put this in perspective for you. If you ever jump on your Apple Store or your, Google Play Store, one of those places, you'll find that one of your friends might be able to access an app that you're not able to get. Everybody can relate to that. I went and I searched for it, and you know, Call of Duty wasn't on Google Play, right? Well, the reason it's not there for your device is your device doesn't meet the specifications for that app. Makes sense, right? So if your device doesn't meet the specifications and you jailbreak your device and you install the app anyway and you start playing it, not only did you just void your warranty, but you also started to degrade your device. And you don't know it, you don't recognize it. And this is what I was talking about with communication earlier on, and the things that we put in, right? You can't expect to put the wrong things in and then come out with the right results. It just doesn't work that way. You weren't designed that way. So I'm like, okay, God, you know, I'm getting a bit of what you're saying. It's making sense. Now, I was an Apple user. Now I went back to Android. I just like it for some reason. Not to say that Apple is a bad product, right? But the funny thing is, every manufacturer that produces a device, what they do is, and this used to be the case, I don't know how it is now, but you know, when you opened up this box, you would find that it comes with a particular charger and the cable and a particular charger, right? But within the documents, there was what you'd call a warranty and a guarantee, and it usually would have been on the first page when you open up the device, the left-hand corner of the first page. The reason for that is the manufacturer is confident of the quality of the device that they've produced. And they're stating that if you use the device according to what the limitations of the operation are that are specified in the manual, the device will perform perfectly for you. But if you don't use it as it's supposed to be used, well, you're voiding your warranty, and that's what happened with the jailbreaking, right? But let's flip that around a little bit. So God has made you in his image and his likeness. He's put his name on you. That's how serious he is about it, right? So he's put his stamp of approval on you. And I'm saying that I guarantee that whoever you are, insert name here, will perform according to the specifications of which you were designed for. You'll have all of these features. You can do all of these things, right? But all of these things within the context of the operations outlined within the manual. It is uncanny to me that today we're listening to all these other people about what we should do, how we shouldn't do, all of this stuff. We take all of this outside information, but we don't really stop and pick the manual up for ourselves. Like what's up with that? What would possibly cause you not to have the thought that you should look into the manual? Well, funnily enough, we do. But we look into the manual after there's a degrading that happens, after the device has gotten to a point where the battery isn't working anymore. You know, I gotta go talk to the manufacturer and try to figure out what's going on here, right? And you know, we're typically coming for a replacement. But aren't you the one who ignored the instructions that are within the packaging to begin with? Didn't you willfully use the device in a manner in which it wasn't intended for? So at the end of the day, you want the manufacturer to replace something that you were willingly reckless with. I've got to tell you, in today's day, that's called negligence, right? We hear about negligence in the news all the time. We heard about Experian and Equifax and all of these other things that have transpired, governments, all sorts of stuff. We throw this term negligence around, but we never really stop and hold ourselves accountable. We want to hold everybody else accountable for everything that they've done. But here's the thing, everyone has something we call garbage. Everybody, I don't care who you are, you have garbage, right? And your garbage stinks just as much as someone else. When it comes down to accountability, it's never something that we want to take and just deal with it. It's something that we prefer to run away from. But God is not like other manufacturers, where, what he's produced isn't something he's willing to take in and repair. A matter of fact, he's made it easy for you. Jesus said, if any man, hear that qualifier, if any man would humble themselves and seek him, any man, anybody, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you came from, it doesn't matter what it is that you've done, it doesn't matter what your situation is, right? God is willing to authorize the restoration of this device to its fullest capacity. However, there's one catch. The thing about it is, as we go through this life, God has already put all the information necessary in the manual. And if any of you guys have heard anything about the manual, you heard in Genesis, God created. Men fell, and then as you read all the way through from Genesis all the way down to Revelation, you realize that we've messed up so badly that God is saying, listen, you know what? There are a lot of devices that are in a bad shape. And something that I have to do is, I'm not just going to replace just one device. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to give you what we call an RMA, a Return Merchant Authorization. That is something that when you call up the manufacturer and tell them something's wrong, they'll give you a code that essentially authorizes the return of that device, right? But God's not going to do that return just one-on-one. He's going to do that return in bulk. This is what the book of Revelation talks about when it talks about Jesus' return. You see, the word tells us that all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Every last one of us. I mean, your mama, your sister, your brother, your uncle, everybody, including me, including you. Every last one of us have been a terrible user of the device. So God has put a plan in for that. And that plan has existed from Revelation. In the beginning, in the garden, when men first sinned, God said that he will allow us to be redeemed. And he talked about the snake shall bite his heel, and that the child shall crush his head. That was a foreshadowing of Jesus, right? So Jesus came, he allowed us to get the RMA for those of us who are willing to admit that we messed up in our usage. And he put that sticker, or what the word calls a seal. He placed a seal on you, right? So with that seal, when he returns, you'll be able to be restored. As a matter of fact, you'll get a brand new, we're talking about a body here, we'll get a brand new body, but think about it, you'll get a brand new phone, right? All you got to do is wait. It's already been authorized. But there are those of us who still choose to refuse that we've done something wrong. And that's the problem. This started from the Garden in Eden. It's continued throughout all time. And then here we are today, like in such a degraded state. I want to show you something. One of the things that God showed me is this, and many of us are guilty of this. I know I've been guilty of this. So I've got this phone, right? And if I plug it out of the power source, what's eventually going to happen is it's powered now. I think I got like 90% or something like that. It's powered now, right? So if I take this and I plug it right into the socket over here, boom, I've got juice, I've got power. See that? Oh, it's 60%. All right, so it's going up. So what happens is when I plug into that socket and I use the equipment that was provided with the packaging, this phone will charge so much faster than you expect. So the manufacturer gave you an approved cord. He also gave you an approved plug. The manufacturer has produced this plug to specifications to support this phone. It is guaranteed to charge this phone properly, right? But now, what we do is I can't find this. So I'll go out to the store and I'll get one of these, right? Forgive the brand, like, it's another one, it's aftermarket. It's not the same specifications. And I'll take this up, I'll plug this in here, boom. Now, it looks okay, but here's the problem. That aftermarket part that I just bought to connect in is not designed to the specifications for this particular device. A matter of fact, this is made as a catch-all device. The amperage on it and the voltage on it might not be exactly the specifications that's required by this particular device. This Samsung, was it A51 or whatever this thing is. So eventually, the more times I plug this into the wall and I don't use the correct charger, I end up degrading the battery. Now this isn't one of those phones where you can take the back off and get to the battery, but you know, the battery is built in. The battery in here has something you call a charge cycle. That charge cycle has a limit. Some devices might be made with 5,000, 100,000 charge cycles. It depends on the device. But the charge cycles in this will get affected by the charger that I'm using. My God, what does this mean? Well, here's the deal. You're attempting to use your device with any old thing that you find. But I've already made specifications for you, and I've provided the information I just gave you in the manual. And if you read it, you would have known if you plugged in with the correct charger, you'd have gotten the correct charge. Like, you'd be powered. But today we don't want to do that. We get into this thing called convenience, and it's expensive. You know, we often hear this saying that knowledge is power and all these things. And it's true, right? If you had the knowledge because you read the manual, you would have known that you're degrading the device. The next thing he hit me with, and I don't know how to process this, it's just how he gave it to me. So if we take this phone and we never plug it into the charger, what's going to happen? Eventually, this is going to die. God said to me, this is us, man. This cord is our ability to connect. But the thing is, that socket over there might be bringing in 240 volts of power. Might be 120. But in that socket, this charger was made to plug in 240, 120, whatever it is, and it'll convert the power down to what is required, right? This is like the church you attend, the shepherd that you're under. Can't get good connection if you don't use the right charger. See, that wall is like God with that socket. And when you plug it in with the right connection, that socket is like the Holy Spirit, and this cord is your connection to Him.